If you've ever talked college football with me behind the camera, the one thing you're going to quickly learn about me is that I cannot stand the extra year of eligibility that the NCAA gave out. While it was a weird circumstance, I don't think that players deserved an extra year of eligibility, and I had a terrible feeling that players would unfairly use it to their advantage. Coaches would only go after a bunch of older players, and it would hurt both the JUCO and high school world. My exact worries have come true, as year after year now, we have seen players who should be working normal jobs still playing and suiting up in college football on Saturday. Maybe that is justified or maybe it's not, but either way, that's my opinion. I don't think 24 and 25-year-olds should be starting at quarterback. I don't think mediocre players should be rewriting the stat books for big-time flagship schools. And it's taking away opportunities for other players to develop and for new faces to be in college football, which is why I love college football more than the NFL. In today's video, I want to quickly highlight a couple players who I think need to get on with college football and move on to the next stage, whether that's the NFL, whether it's your local coffee shop, or whether it's working for State Farm. I don't know, that's for them to figure out. But today we're going to talk about 8 players who I think need to be done with college football and moved on to the next stage. Before we get started though, if you love college football content, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you want to support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I could cover next. Also be sure to follow me on Instagram and send me your future video suggestions, your thoughts on all the extra year eligibility stuff, and what player I should keep an eye on for next year. I'll be sure to be checking my messages and hope to hear from you guys soon. Now let's get started. So in case you guys don't know, I entered college as a freshman in 2018. Unfortunately, while I have been in the real world for quite some time now, there are still guys from my freshman class who will be playing college football next fall. There is not a worse example than Talia Tagovailoa. Yes, he has a big name. Yes, he was at Bama. Yes, he was great for Maryland. I've heard it all before, but the guy needs to be done with college football. He's already rewrote the record book at Maryland. He's already played for 2 different schools, and the reasoning that he came up with for an extra year of eligibility is just absolutely ridiculous. Saying that the reason he stepped on the field is because his brother got hurt just doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me, and it seems to be a clever way of getting an extra year of eligibility. What is likely going to happen is he's going to get a big lucrative NIL deal, make a ton of money, and then probably be an undrafted player in the NFL. Everyone knows that Talia probably isn't cut out to make it in the NFL, and that in pretty much every big game he's played at in Maryland, he has underperformed and has never really elevated his team that much. I don't mean to knock on guys, but there's absolutely no reason why Talia should still be playing college football, and he should be in the NFL, working a different job, and not playing against a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds. We'll have to wait and see which school he chooses, but I know for a fact that I'm not necessarily going to be rooting for him a ton this upcoming fall. Also, before I go any further into the video, I just want to say that I can't necessarily blame these guys. They have an extra year of eligibility, they can make a ton of money in NIL, they can play college football, and they can maybe up their chances of making it in the NFL. I can't necessarily blame it to them, but this rule shouldn't exist, and there's a lot of exploitation going on. The next guy has definitely done that, and that is Bowman from Oklahoma State. I remember it was like my 3rd weekend of college my freshman year, and Bowman was that starting quarterback for Texas Tech. He was one of the top freshmen in the country, and everyone was talking about him being the next big thing. That was a long time ago, yet the guy will be playing college football next year. After leaving Texas Tech due to multiple injuries, Bowman would go over to Michigan, and I can't remember if he was on scholarship or not, but he'd end up being that 3rd string guy, and everyone thought that he was just going to learn how to coach and try to get a ring or something. Instead, he decided to transfer to Oklahoma State this past offseason for his last year of eligibility. At least that's what we thought. He ended up having a pretty good season with the Cowboys, led them to a strong second half of the season, and solidified himself as the starting quarterback. I guess because of all those injuries early on in his career, the NCAA decided to give him an extra year of eligibility, and Bowman will be suiting up for the Cowboys this fall. So I guess instead of watching a big-time 4-star recruit by the name of Zane Flores, we're going to be stuck watching a 25-year-old who's already past his peak and won't elevate the program anymore. As a college football fan who loves to see new faces and see recruits play, it's very frustrating. I hope the best for Allen though. What is it with Jeff Brom and wanting to get 6th-year players? That is exactly what he's doing at the quarterback position, as after he brought Jack Plummer in, who played at Purdue and Cal, he has now brought in Tyler Shuck to be the starting quarterback for Louisville next fall. Shuck was also a guy who's been around way too long. I remember when he was the backup to Justin Herbert at Oregon, and when he was praised as the next big thing in 2020. He didn't end up working out, and was benched in favor of Anthony Brown. I also remember when he first committed to North Carolina, and I believe that was before Sam Howell even committed there. It has been that long. Tyler Shuck ended up transferring to Texas Tech, and after a great start for a couple of seasons, he ended up flaming out, got hurt a couple times, and for some reason had eligibility left. He got beat out by Baron Morton this past year, entered the portal, and now he'll be headed to Louisville. So instead of seeing a guy like Pierce Clarkson or one of the best quarterbacks in Indiana high school football history in Brady Allen, we're going to see another sixth-year guy who couldn't make it work at two other schools, and it's just another way that college coaches are exploiting the system, and players who should not be on the field are going to get a chance to play. Again, it annoys me. The next guy on the list is Hank Bachmeier. I remember when he was a huge deal coming out of high school, and I remember when he was the highest quarterback to ever commit to Boise State. That was all the way back in 2019, and that is when there was a 150 logo on the jersey. That feels so long ago now that I can't believe players from that season are still playing. After showing early glimpses at Boise State, Bachmeier looked like the next big thing, and I was super pumped to watch the guy progress. Except unfortunately, he regressed, I believe quit halfway through the season, and Taylon Green took over for the remainder of it. So not only did the guy leave the team in the middle of the season, but he went to his next school. He ended up going over to Louisiana Tech, where this past year he threw for 2,000 yards with 10 touchdowns and 5 picks. Those were by no means spectacular numbers, and I thought he would ride off into the sunset as a Bulldog. Unfortunately though, he's got an extra year of eligibility, and he will now be headed to Wake Forest. Somehow he made his way back up to the Power 5 level despite pedestrian stats, and once again, this is another example of a college coach taking a guy with 5 or 6 years of experience over developing a younger guy, or bringing in a guy who could actually elevate the program for years to come. Instead, we're probably going to have to watch Bachmeier put up pedestrian stats at Wake Forest for a team that'll likely go 5-7. Maybe I'm being a Debbie Downer, but I would much rather see someone else play than a guy who will be on his third school in his 6th year. Do you want to know something pretty crazy? When Gary Bohanon first arrived at Baylor, Fran Brown was one of the assistant coaches for the Bears and hadn't even gotten to Georgia. He is now the head coach at Syracuse, and that is how long Gary Bohanon has been playing college football. Coming out of Arkansas, he was a 4-star recruit and one of the top quarterbacks in the class of 2018. Bohanon would end up sitting behind Charlie Brewer before he would get his opportunity to play a little bit at Baylor. He was there between 2018 and 2021, in which he finally started during the 2021 season and threw for 2,200 yards and 18 touchdowns and helped the Bears have a breakout season under Dave Aranda. He had now played his 4th year. Great. In a normal world, he would have had one more year to grad transfer. He decided to go over to USF, where he ended up only throwing for 1,000 yards with 6 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. He had now technically played on the field in 5 seasons, but it gets better. He didn't play at all in 2023, so somehow he has a year of eligibility left. He's decided he's going to transfer to BYU, and for some reason, BYU didn't learn from their last experiment in Keaton Slovis. Taking guys who've already been at 3 schools doesn't seem to work, but somehow this one is. Bohanon's never put up great numbers, he hasn't even played since 2022, and should not even be able to be on the field right now. But we're going to miss out on BYU's younger talented quarterbacks in favor of this. Come on. The next guy who needs to move on from college football is Casey Thompson. I remember when he committed to Oklahoma over Texas despite his father going there, and that was all the way back in 2018 when Sam Ehlinger was running the show at Texas. I remember eventually in their bowl game in 2020, Casey Thompson would start against Colorado and put on a show, and everyone was hyping him up for the 2021 season. He'd end up battling it out with Hudson Card, and those two went back and forth, with neither really being that great in 2021. From there, it looked like Thompson would write the final chapter of his college story by transferring over to Nebraska. He was okay in 2022, but nothing spectacular. I thought his career was going to end at that point, but nope. Somehow, he was going to go to his 3rd school. He ended up transferring down to Florida Atlantic, where because he got injured, I guess he gets another year of eligibility. He decided to enter the transfer portal, and now will be on to school number 4, and will be on to year number 7 in college football. Apparently he's going to be headed back home to Oklahoma now, and you have just got to be kidding me. There's no reason why these guys should be going 3 schools or playing 7 years. It is just beside me, and it is hurting the game of college football. The last example I'm going to use is probably the best on this list, and that is Cam Rising. Cam Rising, ironically, is another guy who started out his career at Texas after flip-flopping between Oklahoma and Texas, and he decided to transfer to Utah. Eventually, he'd end up winning the starting job by the end of the 2021 season and would put on a show in the Rose Bowl. In 2022, he'd have his true breakout campaign, and many thought that was going to be his final year of college football. He was likely headed off to the NFL, but instead, he announced he was going to return for 2023 and then proceeded to never play. I guess it was the lingering effects of an injury he sustained in 2022, but he missed the entirety of 2023, and I think it was all calculated. I remember that Week 1 Thursday night game against Florida. Somehow, he was a game-time decision for Week 1, but never managed to suit up for the rest of the year, and eventually, I guess he just decided he wasn't playing and came back. He'll now be on his 7th year of playing college football, and while he is the most talented of these 8 guys on the list, and actually might have an NFL future, honestly, he doesn't need to be playing. Utah needs to be moving on to their next quarterback, and it's just tough luck. While 2020 was truly a crazy and weird year, pretty much every team played a normal season. The Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, the Big 12, they all seemed to pretty much play a normal year. The only conference that got screwed was the Pac-12, and that was their own fault for doing it. They're the ones who decided to start in November. Instead, everyone got a free year to play, everyone's using it to their advantage, and there are now a couple of players who are grifting and prolonging their careers and just don't seem to want to hang up the cleats. I hate how quarterbacks can play this long to begin with. I hate how they play at 2 or 3 different schools. And now, coaches decide to go for one of these guys instead of the next guy up on the roster, an extra high school recruit, or maybe a player who played at a lower level and earned the opportunity to play at a higher level. Instead, we're stuck with this. And no offense to these guys, I'm sure they're great people. I'm sure they're going to have fun throwing the football this fall, but it's ruining the game of college football. It's annoying, and someone had to say it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, be sure to let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know what 7th year guy I missed, and be sure to let me know what topic I can do next. Also, don't forget to check out all my other videos on the end screen, and I hope to see you guys again soon. But until next time, peace.